adversity? Bring it. The struggle? We welcome it. Snooze on life? Never that. We are Dave Regina and Mike Pirelli, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on.
We're here, No Snooze Podcast, South Carolina. Very special episode from the world headquarters of Tactical Baby Gear with owner Beav Brodie, still the coolest name I know. Co-host Dave Regina, I'm Mike Pirelli, and we're ready to rock.
We are, man.
That's it.
Beav, thank you so much for having us.
Of
We're
course.
excited. Yeah, let's start it with a little cheers.
Highly caffeinated as always.
And what is this? Shout out to Jocko.
Jocko Willink with his Jocko Go energy drink.
Beav, before we get started, I have to ask about the name.
Uh-huh.
Where'd it come from?
My Beav?
Yeah, Beav. Yeah.
So Beav isn't actually my real name. So,
Right.
which is probably what you've picked up on. Like, who names their kid Beav?
No. I thought it was. Can I say funny
are you trying to
story?
say about my
Funny
mother?
story. Funny story. Before we started breakfast, was Dana, Mike's wife, is like, what is Beav? What is Beav short for? Mike goes, Beaver.
Well, kind of. So, I mean, some of it sort of derived from Leave It to Beaver and all that. But, like, so I've got an older brother who used to watch Leave It to Beaver all the time.
Yes.
Great show.
You know, in the 80s, that was the thing.
Well, I watched the
And my real name is Steven, which before I've been Beav since I was like younger than 2, probably.
Parents gave you the name?
Yeah. So it went from
awesome.
Stevens to Steve to Beav, and it just stuck.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Steve and Beav. I like that.
You got to figure out the transition because the Steve to Beav is an easy one, but
That
Steven to Beav is a hard jump.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was the progression.
But where
And I did not like it. Like when I would go places and people would be like, my parents would be like, oh, Beav, and I'm like, it's Steven, okay? Like, don't tell everybody my nickname, And then I got to the point where I was like, I prefer Beav over Steven. These especially, and that was probably, I made that transition to like really owning my nickname like middle school. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Where I was like, now it's cool. And if you call me Steven, I'm going to punch you in the face. Like, that was my mentality. And now if someone calls me on the phone asking for Steven, he's not here. They just want money or something.
Yep. Right. I got you. That's awesome.
But where did Beaver come from? Like, where did that come from? It was just something that rhymed?
Well, my brother used to watch Leave It to Beaver, so I think it was just like
Oh, it was
Beav
from
and
the
Wally,
show.
and
I
it
missed
was
that
just
completely. I was like, oh, yeah, Leave It to
was
Beaver,
just-
and then I didn't make
said
that
that.
connection. I know, but I didn't connect
yeah,
the two.
yeah.
Mike is missing the connection.
Wally and the
Yeah,
Beav, so
Yep,
it was always
gotcha.
like a
Okay.
Gotcha.
there.
Well, thank you for having us off the
Yeah,
bat.
yeah.
I
You guys are
appreciate
here
it.
in my place, so
Right.
this is
Yeah.
a new one for me. I'm usually the host, and I'm gonna do my best to be the guest.
Yep.
And we appreciate it. I mean, you were like, yeah, we definitely do that. And then we were like, we're hopping on a flight in July. We'll see you then.
Yeah.
Were you
You guys-
surprised?
You guys picked a great time. You missed the hurricane. You flew past the hurricane on
Yep.
the way here. So
It was
worked
ridiculous.
out.
But
Now
yeah,
we're gonna have beautiful weather.
Just to give a background, so Tactical Baby Gear, I came across Tactical Baby Gear when my wife was pregnant, so about 1.5 years ago, and I was really looking for like a tough looking diaper bag type thing, and that's how I literally
now
came.
you
Yep.
searched. You were searching and found us, or did I advertise to you?
No, so it was
gotta know.
weird.
This
I
is my job.
searched.
This is good.
I searched, but then after I searched, you were all
hammered.
over my Instagram.
Yeah.
It was crazy, but it was. I told my wife right away, that's the bag I want. That's the baby carrier I want. So one thing about me, I happen to look a little tough. I don't know if you got that vibe from me, Beef. I'm not tough at all, though. I'm just soft. You know what I mean?
I could tell. I could tell.
Dang, all right, it's not working.
You
Dave
need
can,
some more tattoos.
Yeah, that's true.
I got a bunch of tattoos under this shirt, but I have 0 tattoos. He actually looks.
picked up.
He actually looks tough, and he can get away with that. I can't even look tough most of the time.
I'm the same way though. I look
Yeah.
like a badass. I'm a softie.
Oh man, no,
I'm like
but
the nicest guy ever.
the company itself though, so that's literally how this connection started. And then I think we, because I had purchased some product. My wife had bought it for me for Father's Day, I believe, last year.
and it was the carrier.
Yes, the carrier, which I was so excited about because I saw it. I'm like, all right, this is the opportunity that I could wear a wife beater. I could have my daughter. I can have a backwards hat, Tactical Baby Gear on. That was the vision.
Yeah.
I spoke about it on the podcast. We'll play that for you because it was hilarious. And then I'm like, you know what? Let's throw it up on Instagram. I started tagging Tactical Baby Gear, shot him a little message, and here we are in Bluffton, Hilton Head area, South Carolina.
One of the first times he ever actually like wore it on our Instagram page, I didn't know it was coming. He posted it. He's on the Peloton riding like an animal.
Yes.
And his daughter, who has crazy hair, was in the front like this, like catching whiplash. They look like a race car driver. It was incredible.
I wouldn't say whiplash. He was probably very, very cautious.
Yes.
He was, because
and Wheels on the Bus was playing. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally good. How old is she now?
she is a year and two, not even a year.
I mean,
and
you just
20
had her
weeks.
nesting
no
in the
idea.
airport. I saw that video.
Oh yeah.
Like, she's still going strong in that thing.
Hey man, it's awesome. But no, the company itself. I guess we want to really start there, right? Like, first tell us about your upbringing a little bit. Let's go there.
I want
Let's
to know
go
about the
past.
cars too.
Yeah, go past. Let's start past. Let's keep it simple today. We'll go past, present, future.
Beautiful.
Right? Nice little outline.
Perfect.
Let's do it.
Do my best to stay on track.
Yeah,
Because
hey.
I can get sidetracked
All of
very
us.
quickly.
We're good. But Jade has us on a
Schedule.
serious schedule. We have
So-
lunch in about an hour. So.
Speaking of, we got a little lost, so we're recording late. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, so my upbringing, I was born here. I've lived here my entire life. Aside from going, I went to an automotive school just outside of Pittsburgh. Fresh right out of high school, I went to automotive tech school, which will lead me into the car story. But I mean, I grew up here, which Hilton Head Island is like a resort island, and we all, now being adults, all come here and appreciate, like, damn, this place is nice,
beautiful.
dude.
It is.
But growing up here for kids, there's like nothing to do. It's like you're like a bunch of old geezers that just want to play golf, and the music's too loud. Like, get out of here, get off my island.
Yep.
But
And when you went away, did you realize that? Were you like,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
because I grew up in Greenwich. So like that's like a place that a lot of people know about. I went to college. I'm like, what is going on? I'm going back to Greenwich.
yeah. Well, that was the thing. It's like you grow up here, and I was a car guy. There's no car scene, no nothing here at all. Like there was a handful of guys that really from another town over that were really into cars that I was like connected with. But in terms of like local Hilton Head kids into cars, like there was like 10 dudes, and it was like not much here, and that's all I cared about. So going through, high school, I worked on a bunch of car stuff, and then I somehow managed to graduate high school early. They were like,
Really?
This kid's got enough credits. Get him out of here.
Really?
Yeah, I have no idea how I pulled that off.
Well, they kicked you out, like because you were already
They
graduated.
like offered it up. They offered it.
I need
like
clarification.
They were like, hey, you can graduate a semester early or whatever it was. Like, you have enough credits. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I was a
Absolutely.
terrible student. I barely got through. That's what I was like. I'm like summer school, failing English class, like all this kind of stuff. Like barely getting through school. And they're like, you can get out of here early. I'm
Big
like,
high school?
No.
You were homeschooled.
No.
Imagine mom and dad are like, no, we're
Yeah, right. Like, so your mom wanted you out of the house. No, I wasn't homeschooled.
Were you
No, I
like,
got
bored in school? Was it just there was nothing that was like catching your attention type of thing,
Dude.
or you just didn't like it?
All of the above.
Okay.
Like nothing about it interested me whatsoever. So I couldn't focus on anything. And I wouldn't say it was like ADD, but it was just like nothing was interesting about it. It was boring as crap, and it had no alignment with anything I cared about. And
You're just learning like random things that you're like, am I ever going to know? Why do I care
About
who
X, Y, or
settled
Z?
in Argentina
well,
in
and I
1720?
think a lot of it is just like they don't bring context to a lot of stuff. It's like memorize the stuff in this book so you can pass this test.
Yes.
That's how I saw it.
Yep.
It wasn't like understand history in history class because this, that, and the
History
other.
repeats
This is how it's
itself,
gonna
so you got to be
evolve.
prepared.
Right. So it's like I couldn't tell you anything from history class because it was in my mind. It was just like memorize this so you can answer the question on the test.
Gotcha.
I didn't give two craps about it. You know what I mean? So, anyways, I was a terrible student. Barely got through. Graduated early when I was 17, and then I moved to a small town outside of Pittsburgh called Blairsville, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Really small town.
Sounds small.
Indiana, Pennsylvania. You guys familiar with the Indiana University of Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of
College.
it. But
Anyways, so I lived on the IUP campus and IUP dorms and drove to this little tiny small town to go to Wyotech, which was a huge automotive school.
Right.
And it like went bankrupt. Anyways, big long story. Doesn't matter. Went there, fast tracked through that, crushed school there. Was like top of the class, like absolutely crushed it because I was actually
'Cause you're
interested.
enjoyed
now.
it.
Yeah. Like I went from like barely passing high school, being a top of the class in automotive school because I cared.
Right.
It was like my life.
And you could apply it probably. You're probably working on projects and things while you're in school, right?
100%.
'Cause
And
then it
I didn't
sticks.
do well in the like classroom textbook portion of some of that stuff and the test taking. But like you put me out in the shop and like I was the only guy like solving the problems
Spinning
and diagnosing
wrenches.
things and doing whatever it was. So I crushed that. I went to I took a business class there, so I was able to graduate from Wyotech with an associate's degree in business. I did trim and upholstery where I learned to sew, which will play into the story of tactical baby gear.
I think every kid should be required to take business classes.
Yes.
I didn't learn.
No?
Well, it's not.
He just shot it down. He's like, I didn't learn anything.
The things that you learn in schools are not like applicable to real life. Oftentimes,
Fair. That's
not
fair.
always.
Right.
But nothing compares to like being in the field and having to actually do it for real life stuff.
They should make you
not to pass
start
a
a
test.
business then. They should make you do like an LLC or something. You want to do that.
If
Yeah,
that's
you're right.
your path.
All right, fair.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I took an entrepreneurship class in high school. I don't know that it did anything for me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I remember like two things from that
Because
class.
your interests are different then than they are obviously.
and
now.
again, it was hard to contextualize like the things that I was learning to like a real life scenario, even though it was like write a business plan for like who writes a business plan anymore?
Yep.
I 100% agree. I'm the type that just goes out and does it, right?
Yep.
We both are. We go out and do it. You're a little more organized and like methodical.
This is definitely hitting home. So full time, I'm actually a deputy commissioner back in New York. I work local government, but I oversee the Department of Community Resources. Right, so we're literally a community resource for young students. I mean, we work with all ages. You could be 6 months in the pool, or you could be a senior citizen that's 99. But right in the middle, we have our youth that we do these entrepreneurship programs, and we put them in the fields to actually learn things. So as you're
From actual business owners, probably. Right?
correct,
Yeah, that's what
correct.
you need.
We made partnerships with local businesses and some huge global companies. I mean, we just did a great deal with Coca-Cola, where they're taking up to 50 of our kids, but going to actually get in the field 2 days a week, apply whatever it is that Coca-Cola is teaching them. Come back to us. What'd you learn? How can we now apply it in your own life?
Right.
So what you're saying is sparking my full-time work.
And
Yeah,
personally,
no, it's awesome. I think
learned
it's a
so much
huge
faster
gap.
that way.
Yep.
Right? Like
100%.
when I need to learn, like I sell real estate, when I need to learn how to do a deal, if I'm in the deal, I learn so much faster.
Done.
Like you
on
read
the
about
job
it and you're
training. Like
yeah.
that's the best way to do it. I know. Did you guys in like high school have to do like a job shadowing thing for like
Yes.
a week
Yep.
or whatever? That was probably the
A
most
semester.
impactful. A semester?
Yeah, I ended up being a gym teacher. Didn't work well. with my football coach.
Yeah.
It was the best, dude. I
Oh,
worked
wow.
maybe 2 hours a day.
That's
I
so
played
funny.
football with the kids. And
Coach
then I
T?
would just leave Coach T. Shout
T.
out Coach T.
Yeah,
He's my
that's
football
funny.
coach, my wide
awesome.
receiver coach.
That is awesome. No, but go ahead.
Sorry, go
Well,
ahead.
no, but I mean, those were like, that was a more impactful week in high school for me because
Gotcha.
it was a full week for us. It was like, you go to this place of work that you have interest in that they've approved, like, yep, you can do job training or job shadowing here. And they fill out a thing for you or whatever. But it was like, whatever those business hours were, if it's 8 to 5 or whatever for an entire week, and you like work as like a full-time person, job shadowing, whatever career path you think you're interested in. So I went to a local like tire shop and like job shadowed this guy I knew, and it was like changing oil and tires, you know what I mean? But like I got more out of that
Right.
and seeing like what real life was when I was probably like 16 when I did that. It was like, okay, this is what real life looks like. This isn't going to school all day and then coming home and riding your bike after school. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Whatever it was.
Well, you were fortunate too. It sounds like you found you up a passion super young.
Yeah.
Because when I was in high school, I went and did the gym thing, although I knew I wanted to be like in finance, but I didn't know what. So when I had to decide, I was like, I have no idea what I want to do. So I went and did the gym thing, which I probably should have done something in finance. But I don't know if you're fortunate or you just were looking, but it's nice that you found it early.
It was a natural thing. Like I just became very interested in cars before I could drive. I had most of my friends were like a year or two older than me, so they got cars before I did.
Gotcha.
And like I was just constantly messing with them, going to their house after school and working on their cars or whatever that was. But
I have so we have Justin, who's actually not here with us, but he's an intern. He's right in that 16, 17-year-old range.
more famous than
Right,
us.
so we have a couple.
Way more.
Yeah, that's true. He's actually
He's like a
actor,
model, and
so way better looking too. But
Yeah.
that's besides the
even
point.
better looking than you.
We don't let him-
no, I don't give him that.
we
I
don't give him a lot of camera
I
time
give
because
it
I'm
better-
afraid he's going to take my job.
I give it. He's better looking than Mike, but not me. But let's not get crazy.
down below.
But anyway, we have a bunch of young listeners, right? So hearing you talk now about how you hated school pretty much, and not hated it, but just didn't really apply.
Oh, no, I hated it.
Okay, so you hated it. Didn't really apply anything that you were learning there. What ticked in your mind? Was it a family upbringing? Was it some sort of value that you had that said, wow, you know what? I actually like cars. Let me go into that business world and not just have it as like an interest and a passion, right? Because I feel like a lot of kids get lost and then they don't like school. They're passionate about things and then don't apply themselves. So what was it for you? If you can even remember, 'cause that's a tough question.
Yeah.
I can tell you.
You know?
So I don't know exactly where my interest for cars came from specifically. Like my dad was not a car guy. Like he likes cars and he's always like wanted and had neat cars, but he wasn't like in the garage working on things and modifying things at all.
Me and your dad very similar.
He's like, you know, he had the Mitsubishi 3000 GT when it first came out. He had like all the Trans Ams and different cars like that, but they were always like left alone.
My dad had a sick Datsun.
There you go. Those are cool.
Fire, right?
Yeah. So he's always like, he likes cool cars, but he wasn't working on them in the garage or anything like that.
Yep.
So I don't think it came from that. I think it just came from probably other outside sources, my interest in cars. But then when I realized I was good at it and I really enjoyed it, and I was like, I would do this for free, even if I wasn't getting paid, because I just love to do it.
That's
You know
my
what I mean?
question for everyone.
So yeah, I was like, and then when I got to the point where I realized I was good at it and I had enough skills, then all my high school buddies who needed car work done were bringing their car to my parents' house, and I'm working on cars and painting bumpers and body kits and doing all that kind of stuff you do when you're in high school.
Kids
you
are
know?
just flying around town.
Yeah. So I'm like putting turbos on and doing all this kind of stuff out of my parents' house in the garage and like making a few bucks here and there. And then I started to like kind of treat it like a business. I remember I was keeping like a notebook log of like expenses and like trying to, and cause my dad was a, entrepreneur and he ran his own business. So I just kind of like picked up on little stuff from him and whatever. And then I went to automotive school because that seemed like the natural path. Like, I'm not going to college. Forget about that. Like, I didn't even take the SATs. You know what I mean? Like, I just straight to automotive school because that was my path and that's all I cared about. And then when I left that school and I realized I was coming back to Hilton Head because small town Pennsylvania sucks. And I was like, I got there and I go through one winter up there. I'm like, well, Hilton Head's not so bad after all. I'm going straight back.
That's
you know?
true.
So through my dentist that I have, is like a pediatric dentist, hooks me up with the guy who owns like the bigger local shop here, who was like, hey, I've got this kid I've known forever. Like, he just got out of automotive school. Would you hire him? And he was like, yeah, send him by. So I go over there. I'm wearing like a nice collared shirt for my job interview, and he's like, yeah, you're hired. So I go and I start working there. And it was great. And I made a crap ton of money. I was like, I started that job.
Good location, right? For this type of work or no?
We'll get to it.
All right,
it leads down to my story.
You get me all fired up. When you start talking cash,
Well,
the
I
eyes
know.
will
I made a
light up.
bunch of money. I was like 19 years old, making 90 grand a year.
That is a ton for that age.
Ton.
That's a lot of money at that age. Like,
That's why money at any age.
you can get
right?
yourself in
Yeah.
trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so, and I'm really bad at managing money, like really bad. I like to spend money.
We can tell. We can
As
tell.
you can tell, yeah. So I like to spend money. So I think one of my biggest weaknesses and something that I wish I had a better handle on or earlier on. Like, I'm way better at it now.
Yeah, like you have to be, right?
I have to be.
Yeah, you have no choice.
You're still in business, so.
But I had to learn from that. And I learned a lot from Alex, my business partner. He's like a super numbers nerd and his whole family, ancestors, everybody's in banking.
Ancestors.
I'm not kidding, dude.
They invented banking.
I'm not kidding. So
The Rothschilds.
I've learned a lot from Alex and I've picked up a lot from him over the years on that. And so anyways, I was making a bunch of money, but it didn't matter to me. I didn't really care about the money. And I started to be sort of unfulfilled in the work that I was doing because I was just doing repair work on like Miss Smith's old Cadillac that had a squeak in it. And I was like, I don't care about your squeak.
Like every week, right?
Yeah.
Like every week.
Like,
Like, oh, there's more squeaks.
Well, it's like this guy's oil leak that, and this guy's squeak this, and a rattle here, and my convertible top is leaking. It's just like, it was fine, and I was really good at it, and I was fast at what I did, and I made a bunch of money, but that didn't matter to me because I just didn't like what I was doing. I wanted to do cool custom stuff. I wanted to make them faster. I wanted to make them cooler. I wanted to and I was like, well, shoot, if I'm making this much money, like working on BS crap for someone else, like I'm going to open my own shop and make a boatload of money doing what I want to do.
Yep.
So I opened my own shop and I went broke. But I was doing really cool stuff.
Right. And you loved it. You were fulfilled.
Best origin story ever.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I was
Absolutely.
like so broke, but I loved it so much. And I did it for like 12 years where I was just making enough to pay the bills. And there was times I almost I almost lost my house, you know what I mean? Or
Yep.
like I've been so broke and so poor. And then I had kids in the middle of that I was just grinding because I just loved what I was doing with the car so much. And it led me down a really cool path of like, and there were plenty of ups and downs where it's like, all right, well, this sucks now. Mostly in like 2008 when the crash happened.
Yep.
And anybody who was like had some money that was doing cool stuff on cool cars quit doing that
Because that's
they lost
additional income. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just like out the window. So it's like, all right, switching gears from cool stuff back to like service and repair work. Like these guys at least got to keep their cars working to like drive to work.
Yeah.
So like back to timing belts and brakes and oil changes and all that kind of stuff. And then as the economy kind of grew back and things like that, is like back to some more custom stuff slowly but surely, and got into more of that kind of stuff. And then I kind of got into a pocket of like really high end stuff. And I got kind of linked up with a guy who was doing custom Land Rover Defenders. And we were doing them for like really high end people, celebrities and stuff.
Like rappers? What are we talking about?
Like,
Give me profiles.
Like Janet Jackson,
Yeah, like a specific name. Janet Jackson.
Alicia
pretty big.
Keys, Phil Mickelson.
Sick.
Wow.
So you're talking, really? I
You're
think
talking
Mickelson would be a
elite
Land Rover
A-list.
guy.
So
Like
Yeah, that's
celebrities type.
A-list.
So we were doing these custom
you're not
Defenders.
talking.
I was
Z-list,
close,
like,
dude.
you know?
Alicia Keys. That was pretty close.
Right, yeah. I mean, you're right there.
Girl on Fire, you know? That was a song about her car. It actually blew up. No,
So I get linked up with this guy, and turns out he's pretty scammy, and ended up putting me out of business. Which I put all my eggs in one basket. I was like, I just started building Defenders kind of with this guy, and then it was a big long story. Puts me out of business. I lose everything I had, and I had to go back to work at the shop I worked in years ago.
Holy shit.
Right?
Wow.
Because I was having my second daughter. And I'm like, I got to put food on
figure
the
survival
table. I
mode.
was already broke. I just lost like $60,000 out of this deal, and I had nothing. And like, it was bad. It was
Can
really,
I
really bad.
stop you right there?
Yeah.
Okay. So now that you went broke, what goes, if you can think back, what goes through your mind at that point? Because I look at, people I look up to. I mean, even in books, whatever it is, there's always, I have a story. Mike has a story. Clearly you do. At some point, you have to go through some adversity to get over the hump. But you have to make a decision. Is that adversity going to take me out and you're going to go down a real slippery slope? Or you're going to say, you know what, this is my situation. I'm going to face it head on and tackle it. What goes through your mind at that time?
It's just that. Like, I'm a survivalist. I'm never worried about how I'm going to make the next dollar because I have so many skill sets. Like,
and you did it with your hands. When it's tangible, you're probably more confident.
Well,
because
and I
you're
knew
like,
that there
can
was
actually
things
do it.
that I could do that puts cash in my pocket today.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a very different business model when you're like a service-based guy and you're like, yeah, I can weld that. Yeah, I can fix that. Yep. And it's like $200, $100, whatever.
Yep.
I wasn't worried about that because I have those skill sets to like, I can do just about anything. You know what I mean? Like
That's
literally,
awesome.
Like I just have that confidence. And it's actually caused like fights between my wife and I because I'm over here stressed out about like certain things. I'm like, no, you don't understand. If we don't do this and this, she's like, it's going to be fine. I'm like, it's not. Everything could go away tomorrow, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so and then she's like, well, I don't mean like not to worry about it. I just know that she's like, I'm confident in your abilities to like, I know everything's going to be okay.
That's
Right.
big.
You know, so it's like the same, I feel the same way about myself, but now at the scale that our business is now, like little wrong moves make a big impact when
Correct.
you got like an 8-figure business, you know, when you're like, there's a lot riding on it and a lot of other people now depend on me. It's not just like my wife and kids and I've just got to go fix some dude's car to make a few $100 to like fit.
And it seems like a great group, like people you actually want to help.
we have I mean,
If it was you're working with people you don't really care about, you know,
I've got the best group of
Yep,
people here
definitely.
ever. But at any rate, I mean, you just go into survivalist mode. You're like, I'm going to attack it head on. I'm not going to let it get the best of me, you know, and you just figure out how to deal with it.
One daughter at that time,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
One-
one daughter, one on the way.
we call it scramble mode.
I mean, that's what it is.
Yep.
Like,
Really.
you know, when the
But you have
quarterback's
to keep- you're
out of
scrambling.
the pocket.
But you got to keep moving forward.
Well, the quarterback's out of the pocket, right?
Yep.
And all they're thinking is survive and try to get a couple yards.
Yeah.
They don't think about like, oh, I'm trying to score a touchdown. They're just like, just survive.
Yeah.
Scramble mode.
I do remember. So in the middle of all of that, I start Tactical Baby Gear.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I started this in 2013. My middle child now, who was born in 2014.
Gotcha.
So I started Tactical Baby Gear when we found out it was a girl again. And I was like, fuck, I got to carry that purple
I gotta
bag.
look tougher.
I should have showed you guys. Did you guys see the purple bag in the other office in the
No.
hallway? Did you see it? Yeah. So, yeah, I should have showed you guys.
That was the inspiration one.
That was the one I had to carry the first time.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm not carrying that thing again. You saw it. You were like, yeah, you wouldn't carry that either.
That is so
Yeah.
funny. And now you keep
carry
it in the office as a just
dude.
a reminder.
Yeah.
That is
It's so
dope.
cool.
That
You should release limited edition of those bags.
Like recreate them.
Yeah.
It'd be
Yeah.
sick. Like
Yeah.
10 of them, and then people can get them, and I'd be like, what is this?
Yeah. I should do like little mini ones and send them in every package.
For real. You could be wearing
This
this.
could be you.
Just a
Yeah.
reminder of how awesome ours is.
Yeah.
And if someone's not good, you just send them that instead,
Yeah.
like Cole.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, so in the middle of that, I started Tactical Baby Gear, which is really just an idea that came about that I was like, oh, this is a good idea. Like, clearly, all my friends were like, oh, that's so smart. Like, I don't want to carry my wife's bag either. Because women, I don't know how your wives are. My wife is a very girly, like, everything's got to be super cute and all these different things.
I'm the same way, Beav.
Yeah, he's the most girly out of everyone. Blush pink, and that doesn't match, honey. Go change.
Oh, shit.
It's overwhelming.
That's artistic.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Very creative, Beav.
It's creative.
But so I've got this idea that has some potential traction. I go out of business with my car shop, and then I'm working for someone else, and diaper bags was part of my like end game, like where it was like, all right, I got to figure this out. How can I make enough money to pay the bills right now and keep working on this other thing in the background that I think is a
the
bigger
exit plan.
picture?
Yep.
You know what I mean? One of the things I was doing was I used to make custom holsters, like Kydex custom holsters. You're probably familiar with, maybe not quite as much.
I have no idea what you
But
just said.
it was like hard plastic formed molded holsters specifically for that gun.
Got it.
Right. So very specific
Custom.
things, very custom.
Yep.
So I was doing that, and that I could turn those around in a couple hours. So that was cash, right? It was like, yeah, PayPal me $60 or $80 or whatever the combination of whatever they wanted. It was like a couple $100. So I was making like several $100s a day doing that. So I had to go back to work at the car shop. So I'm changing Mrs. Smith's Cadillac, whatever.
She's
and
still
fixing
there.
This, and she's like, my AC is just not feeling quite as cold.
Well, Mrs.
Like,
Smith
well, it's
is-
150 fucking degrees outside. So yeah, you're right. It's not going to feel quite as cold.
Right.
Your car's from 1910, Mrs. Smith.
No, everything here is brand new.
Yeah, you're
Kidding me? Have you driven around?
Yeah. That's true.
No, but so then I'm making custom holsters. I would get home from work. I'm dealing, I've got one baby, and then I'm got a pregnant wife who's working full time and not coming home till 11 o'clock at night because she manages the lighthouse on the Hilton Head, and it closes late at night. Blah blah blah. So
I just ran by the lighthouse today.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't. I was sleeping, but I dreamt of
white
it.
lighthouse.
Yes. Yeah.
So she
I remember
managed
seeing
that.
it.
For
Okay. So she wasn't coming home till 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I would get my one daughter squared away, get her fed, get her put to bed, and I'd be out in the garage like making holsters and trying to get those shipped out so I can get paid for more. It was just like
Love that.
It was just a grind.
Yeah.
And I was working and then still trying to work on Tactical Baby Gear.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like building holsters, posting stuff on Instagram, Tactical Baby Gear, posting stuff to the Kydex
You're like
page.
shipping the wrong things to the wrong
No,
people.
never.
Like Mrs. Smith gets a gun holster.
Instead of her.
But where's my car?
So there was it was just a grind, dude. Like I didn't even think about it. I didn't think twice. I wasn't pissed. I was just like, I have to get through this phase because there's something greater on the horizon.
Do you think it's an element of lack of time to actually think about stuff? Like when you have a kid, I personally feel there's not much, I call it air. There's not much time where you're just sitting and like thinking and overthinking things. You're like, all right, what do I have to knock out?
I now overthink things while I'm at the office, and I'm like sitting in front of my computer, and I'm like, and I told my guys yesterday, I'm not interested in thinking through the strategy of all these different things. I'd rather let's just do them all.
Yep.
I don't care, all of it. Go.
See, I like strategy. Like I like thinking big picture to get aligned.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then I do catch myself sometimes overthinking the strategy. Be like, just try a bunch
Just
of
go.
stuff and whatever sticks.
Yep.
Just double down and
What's
cancel
the word?
the
Like,
rest.
okay, that thing didn't hit. Like next.
Yep. See, I'm not gonna lie. He is so much better at that than I am. That's one of my flaws. I mean, I'm still working through it, but I worry about that type of stuff. Oh, what if I fail? And I still go and I still move in that direction, but it's constantly in the back of my mind.
Yeah,
So-
but the thing
I'm not
that
gonna
you
lie.
think could fail could be the thing that's like
Correct.
All it takes is one.
Yep.
But the thing that I think it's not a disadvantage of his, but he embraces it. I think he doesn't give himself enough credit. But in his profession, he doesn't get a lot of things that he can have fail because it's town budgets. There's a lot of eyes. For me, I'm basically a one-man shop. I just try everything. Most of the time in real estate, it's a no. I get one yes every 100 no's, but that one yes is well worth
the
it.
thing that is the
So like I
meaningful,
got desensitized to no because I've been doing it so long. So like we've released a lot of shirts
Yeah.
that I was like, this is the shirt.
yeah,
we always
all the
got it.
time.
Yeah.
I'm like, one sale. I'm like, who was it? Dana Pirelli. I'm like,
Dave Regina.
I like yell at Dana. I'm like, why'd you buy that? She's like, I was trying to support.
You're right.
So funny.
Yeah, so you got the town looking at you and like
Yeah,
you got
it's
to answer
different.
to people. It's a
Yeah,
different, it's a different
correct.
story.
Right, but that's why I love like what we do with the podcast, it turned into a business because he would say that it was a planned business from the start. I wouldn't.
In his mind.
Right.
I was
I'm
treated
going to
as a business.
monetize
But to
the
me,
out of
it was
this.
like,
I like
let's
monetizing.
have a platform that we discuss our stuff. You're talking, young professionals, young fathers, young husbands, entrepreneurs, trying to get things done, but all about progress. So that's really how it kind of started. But what you're saying is spot on. That was well said. I'm losing. Where were we?
No, but
I took you off track.
But the point being is that like when we work together and as a tripod, I call us the tripod with Claudio.
Yep.
He's not on screen, but he's the voice. Sometimes he jumps in. But we like figure it out as we go, right? Like there's no rules. It's whatever we want to figure out. We're all constantly in transition with our lives, work, all that stuff. But the main thing, as long as we're successful, there's a story to be told because people want to see how people are successful, even more so now with families. Because something that you did, which I think is super impressive, is you're building all this while adding to your lineup of kids, which is
had another one,
insanity.
yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
6 weeks, seven weeks?
She's six weeks.
Yeah, check your
yesterday.
wife.
6
I
weeks
have-
yesterday, yeah.
If you asked us, like in the first 6 months, how old the kids were, I was within maybe 2 months. I was like,
Yeah, well, I mean, I probably would be like that, but now being in the baby business, and like
Yeah.
it's like the thing that everyone's asking me, and I'm like DMs and everyone else is like, oh my gosh, she's so cute. How old is she? So it's like a constant,
Yes,
just
always
like
reminded.
reminding.
are you walking by kids and you're like, oh, that is a 6-month-old fit? Like,
I
people are like, whoa, tactical baby. Don't worry.
yeah, no, not so much. I don't really.
Walk by random kids and point out their sizes. Okay.
Well, and everybody's so different too. Like I've seen some big ass baby. Like my
Yeah.
kids are
Our
big.
kids, big.
And then you look, there's little ones. You're like, oh, how old is that? 6 months. You're like, no, it's a year. I'm like, Jesus. I mean, it's just everyone's so different, which
Yep.
is why I try not to give like baby advice on
Right.
a lot of things. Like I mean, there's plenty of advice to be had, but I don't give it to people or outwardly on our channels of like, this is what you should do. Because it's so different for everybody.
Yes.
It's like, here's something for you to try that's working for us. It might work for you.
Correct.
Not, this is what you should do.
This is that's how we try to be, because sometimes we catch ourselves and we try to speak from for us, this works type of thing, because we're conscious of that too, because no one wants to be told like, do this, do that. And now as a parent, people constantly, have you been doing this? What are you doing? Are you doing that? Are they walking? Are they talking?
I hate more than anything like the women and I shouldn't say just women, but just like the other parents who like judge you on things, and
Yes.
then they're like trying to tell you, well, you should do this and you should no. I will slap you.
Full disclosure, last night we were at the bar with our monitors, but we were responsible. It was within 1,000 feet.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, you're in the hotel.
That's what I'm saying. We were in the same vicinity.
Yes.
You know what I think about? I'm like, every time I kind of stress about this stuff, I'm like, people have been doing this forever. Like, why are we overthinking
Right.
it? Just do it. Because I get stressed out.
Some of the
sometimes.
parents I've seen, I mean, no offense.
Yeah.
Everybody's a good parent, but if they could do it, I'm like, I could do it too.
Right. I try to remind my wife of that. She's like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be eating this thing. And I'm like, just eat it.
It's fine.
Like, just don't overdo it.
Right.
Like, there's crackheads out there having babies. that are
Correct.
Like, I'm like,
Yeah. No, it's the truth.
you can eat that dessert or
Yes.
whatever. I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah, they're deserving.
Speaking of your wife,
Yeah.
and since you don't like giving advice, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Because we do some relationship stuff too here.
Oh,
Mike hates
snap.
it. He hates
Before we get too far, thank you to all the women in our lives that have been supportive. and helping build. Guys, you're
Mike,
welcome.
you're learning.
I say
You're
that-
learning,
That's
kid.
Dave's move. I
You're
jumped
learning.
in because I never get credit.
You're learning. No,
Dana
no.
Pirelli, I love you.
No, but on a serious note with the relationship, clearly you've been able to build multiple businesses. Tactical Baby Gear happens to be the one that really took off.
Yeah, I didn't build the other ones. They all failed.
Well, that's the story. That's the
I
story.
ran them
Yeah, I got you.
into
But
the
that's the
ground.
story. That's the story in itself. But you had a partner that's been there with you through. I mean, I don't know how many years you guys have been together, but pretty much this whole journey, right?
Yeah, the whole thing.
One piece of, I don't want to say advice, but something that worked for you in your marriage thus far, that is your core value system in that relationship.
Great question, David.
Yeah,
I'm a
I
tight
mean,
man.
communication is a big part of it, and she's unbelievably understanding of things. And there's times where she doesn't like what it is that I have to do, but she understands it, right? Like we kind of have this. There's so many things that her and I agree on that are unspoken that we just do inherently without even having to communicate about it. So like, I think I'm just really lucky, and I'll tell you even a crazier story in a second. But I'm just unbelievably lucky of who she is and how she thinks about things and how, forgiving she might be, or resilient she might be, you know, where she's like, okay, I see, I understand the purpose of this. Like, I don't love that you're going out of town for another 3 days, but I know doing a podcast with Gary Vee is important, so do it, you know, or whatever the case is.
You were on the Gary Vee podcast?
Yeah, he was on our podcast.
Love him.
Yeah.
He's incredible. He's one of the reasons that I do like the style at which I do business.
Yeah.
A lot of him.
Who's Gary Vee?
Yeah. Dave lives under a rock.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
His own rock.
My rock.
You know, she's just super understanding, and but we do communicate a lot about like what we want out of life and what it's going to take to get there, and like it's a work hard now so we can play a little bit harder later. Yep. Even though we do a lot of playing now too, don't get me wrong. It's like there's a balance there for sure where it's like, okay, we got to enjoy the fruits of our labor some now too, but ultimately like here's our end goal is to retire early or do whatever, or you know, have something set up for our kids or whatever it is, you know, that we're trying to accomplish or whatever. And that changes all the time. It's like, this is our goal this month, and you got to be fluid.
Yep.
You know, the saying, like, you show me a successful, I mean, it's 2021, but you show me a successful man, there's the woman behind him is the responsible. Never understood that until the babies came, because until you have a responsibility, whatever it is, you know, pet, anything, and you have these crazy schedules and you're building a business and you're trying to grow and you're really like, you're pushing hard on something, every decision you make, there's a consequence for time for your wife or your partner, which in the beginning, you don't have that. You're like, all right, I'm going into the office. They're like, all right, I'm going to go get my nails done, blah, blah, blah. Now they're like, I got 4 kids. I got to chase 2 kids, 1 kid, whatever it is. So everything that we're doing, the opportunity cost for them is them supporting in some facet in a lot of sayings. But I never understood it until like recently, because it puts so much stress on them, especially like in the real estate and the podcast world, that hours aren't normal.
Yes.
So like weekends and stuff, they're not.
I mean, I don't most maybe I'm wrong about this because I'm so broken and skewed because I just work 24/7, right? As the
you seem like a workaholic.
As the business owner of an online business, like it's not like your business hour. Like you don't just stop.
Same thing in real estate. Yeah.
If I'm awake and conscious, like I'm thinking about it, I'm working in my mind. I'm working. Period.
Right.
Like whether I'm on the boat or on the well, we don't really go to the beach, which is we live on an island. Don't go to the beach. But whatever it is, like if we're on some sort of vacation, where like I'm still, my mind is still working.
It's always racing.
It takes me several days to like be able to turn that off and like just relax, which is very difficult for me to do.
We have trouble with that.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Like when you're wired for that, it's tough. But I agree. And I just got super lucky, man. I don't have like the magic sauce answer. Like I didn't even choose my wife. This is the crazy story. Her and I were just like kind of dating, and she got pregnant like 2 months late into it.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And it just like, we just kind of got stuck with each other. I mean, to be honest, I'm not mad about it. Like that was just the circumstances.
That was the situation at that time.
And I was like, well, here we are. This is part of my life now. You know what I mean? And thankfully, like we grew to really love each other, and we are very opposite in a lot of ways, which is good. You know, as like you guys balance each other out, and your wives probably balance you out or whatever. It's like she's it's cliche. It's like yin to the yang, and it's like
you need it. You need it.
Yeah.
How do you still find time to fulfill her needs in terms of, you know, Mike's eyes are rolling. Not that way, Michael. No, but in
I didn't say anything.
No,
you give Dave an energy drink, and all of a sudden it goes haywire.
But fulfill, right?
What happens if you give him a beer?
Like women,
We can't record that.
And they had $4 Jim Beams yesterday.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
That hotel bar was not ready.
No, but in terms of fulfilling her needs, women. I mean, even, I have
they require a lot of attention,
but I do too. So I can't. I can't just say women because that's me.
That's how I know you're mature.
As busy as you are, how do you still make the time? Because clearly you're doing it. You know, you're finding a way, even if your mind isn't there, you find a way to make sure that your wife is happy. And I think it's so important because we're seeing that now. But we only have one child, right? And when that happened, we were like, oh my God, our lives are in shambles.
And business,
you have 3.
It counts as like a child, I would say.
Correct.
Like, you know, like Claudio has.
But that's on top.
Like we have other children that aren't kids.
Correct.
Right? Like everyone.
like a full grown man.
Yeah.
Shout out Travis and CV,
I didn't mean
by
they
the
were
way.
a child. I mean, the business is the child.
Right. He's
They're
messing
both going to beat me up. These are big dudes. We got to be careful.
I'm gonna run like hell when we go out the door.
No, just go to the office where the guns are. We're good.
Yeah.
Don't be blowing up a spot. What were you saying? Though?
How
Sorry,
do I
interrupted
find the
you.
balance?
Yeah,
to
to make sure that you're giving her that level of attention, to make sure that your wife is happy in the marriage when there's really no time. Because a lot of people, I feel like, go through that, and I just want to hear even if it sucks, I want to hear it.
Yeah, time's a battle.
You know what I mean? It
Time's a
is,
battle.
but I genuinely love hearing how.
Yeah, I need some hacks and stuff. You know.
I don't know.
I hear you.
It's like we do a lot on the weekends. She's forced me to like slow down.
Good.
You know, like she is really like, no, you're not working this weekend. We're doing this. We're taking the kids here. We're doing that, which is great. So she forces that.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, her way of just like making sure that I balance it for her. She's
Hey, that's a good answer.
Pay attention to me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
so a lot of times it's, we're out on the boat on the weekends, or we're, it's the summertime for the kids. So we're going to take a trip here in a few weeks, and just like get away for 5 days. And
Awesome.
It's been easier more recently as we've hired more people in the office, and a lot of the burden is off of me, and I only have a few things to worry about, where it used to be like
Everything.
it was all me. Like, it was a one-man show, and if I wasn't there, nothing was happening.
But necessary to get to this level.
But necessary. It was part of the journey, and she knew that then. She was the one packing and shipping boxes. Like, she was part of it. You know what I mean? So it's not like it was just me, really.
Don't you love that, where it's like, all right, well, you're working crazy hours, this and that, and then they're like packaging things, like, all right, hurry up, we got to sell more stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, she was part, like again, she would come home at 11 o'clock and do whatever. She was pregnant, but it was like, babe, I got like 6 more boxes we got to pack. Can you just do this so we can knock this out and go to bed? So she's like hand signing the packing list, saying thank you and whatever, and like packing boxes and shipping them out. So she's just as much a part of the early story as anybody. You know what I mean? So,
And she's still involved in some facet?
not really.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, she gives her feedback on certain things, but she's not really involved in day-to-day stuff. She's at home taking care of the kids, and so that I can be here doing this.
What I've tried to do is incorporate, and we've, like, this trip is a perfect example,
Yes.
is incorporate our wives into the fun of the business, right? Because I feel like they get the brunt of just the grind of it, versus like, this is a fun trip. We're going to a beautiful place. Bring them along, right? We could have came and be like, all right, well,
By yourselves.
Guys trip.
Yeah.
Guys trip for a few days, get out, have some
Which
drinks.
wouldn't have been bad, that would have been terrible. But like, incorporate, like in the real estate stuff, like what I try to do is, if I have a closing, we try to go to dinner and celebrate the closing, because in some form she's still involved, right? So I don't know if you do anything.
You do
with
that
Trina.
dinner with your client, or just
No, we don't
just
take
the two of
client
them,
and
just you.
Dana. Yeah, this is my wife. She's responsible for your sale.
Thank you for
Thank her.
paying for this dinner.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
But little things where it's like you try to incorporate them so that it shows them that all the
I mean,
hard
my
work.
realtor would take me to dinner. I'm just saying.
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Or lunch.
Well, they don't want to hang with me at the dinner. They want to celebrate. So you give them a gift card, let them go nuts. That's the move.
Right.
But it's like integrate. I don't believe in balance anymore. I believe in integration. Like, you have to integrate them, because there's no perfect time where business shuts off and there's family. There's like times where you can focus on family, and then you can get to the phone quick and, all right, what are we doing? We posting something from No Snooze, or do this, and then you go back to the family. That's the key,
It's
I
tough.
think.
It is so hard, and it's like those integrations that are probably a blessing and a curse. So like, can you just
tough.
stop? Like, when I go to Disney World, or we do like family stuff, and I'm like, oh, perfect opportunity for content.
Yeah.
She's like, can you just put the phone
relax,
down?
right?
Well, you have that lens now where you see that. You're like, oh, he's really good at this. We'll be like at a Sunset bit, guys. I don't want us to put the kids together. We got a good photo here.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a blessing and a curse. Like, it's the thing, like, I built this entire business on the back of Instagram. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's the thing that got us here and continues to like support it, is Facebook and Instagram and, these different platforms. And now there's new ones that like we got to keep trying to tackle, TikTok and everything else. But it's like, that's where the attention is. That's where you got to stay in front of people if you want to be found and stay in business and do all these things. So part of my job is to make sure we still have new customers coming in. So like, those are the things I'm always thinking about.
And you run the Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Look
So
at
when
you.
we're at Disney World, and I'm like, I gotta do this picture, I got this thing, and Brandy's like, but she gets it.
Yep.
She's like, all right, come on, everybody, whatever.
But if you knock that out and then you have an amazing time at Disney World, see, I think that's where it is. I try to reiterate, like, we're here doing this so that dinner tonight is on us.
Right.
So
the
it's
reverse
like,
side of it though is when my wife like uses it against me.
oh yeah.
Yes.
And she's like, come on, like think about the content you can make. Like let's do this thing.
That's
And
awesome.
I'm like, gosh, you got me. Like, you're right.
Yeah, like, because we get them, they're on the show now too. Every
Yes,
10
yep,
episodes,
every
we're
10
going to record
episodes.
one here. But I think that was big. I don't know whose
Absolutely.
idea it is. Great idea. Because now they're invested in it with us.
Yep.
And I think it makes them even more committed, you know, when we have to do something like weird times, flying a hurricane.
We wanted to take a quick second to let you guys know that we partnered with our good friends over at Orgain.com. We're happy to offer our listeners 30% off by entering the code NOSNOOZE30. Again, that's NOSNOOZE30 for 30% off your first order. If you're on the market for a new protein powder, nutritional shake, protein bar, or Mike's favorite, collagen peptides, Orgain is your one-stop shop. As all of you know, my Crohn's disease is currently in remission, and the only protein I use is from Orgain. My personal favorites are the chocolate peanut butter and the vanilla bean. With the code, you can try a 2-pound tub for under $20. Talk about not snoozing. Go get yours today. Now, back to the epi.
Back to business quick. COVID, right?
Yeah.
You happen to be, I don't know if it's one of the, well, yeah, I would say one of the lucky ones because you just said you built your brand online, right? So how did COVID affect you? I guess, was business better? I know for a fact that a lot of people were home making babies during COVID. I know for a fact.
That was, let me just say, that was
I got caught up
unbelievable.
in it.
That's what I'm saying.
What an unbelievable transition.
Yeah.
They were making
You know what I mean?
babies.
Yeah, no,
but
business was
really,
good.
COVID in general. You know?
I mean, the initial, what was that, March, whatever. It's
Yeah.
like the initial lockdown was
Yep,
like 2
March
weeks, flatten the
14th, whatever.
curve, all that kind
That
of
was
stuff.
wild.
when my
it was-
Peloton got delivered, I'm just saying.
Yeah, my man's working out more.
Yeah.
I was just eating bonbons.
Making us all look really bad. So, we were prepared. We're like, well, this is the beginning of the end. Here we go, you know?
Yep.
And we had like the initial 2 weeks when everyone was like freaked out and everybody just paused everything.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
And
it was
like,
weird.
It was like, well, here, this is it. And then it like turned back on.
Yep.
And then it was like Black Friday for the rest of the year.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Wow.
See, that is awesome.
Yeah, it was nuts.
I kind of figured that. That's why I asked the question, but I didn't know
it was
for sure.
hard to keep up. We were like,
Yeah.
holy crap. But then like there was other like logistical issues with like delays in getting inventory in or whatever because ports were shut down and all these different things. So it was like, oh my God, we're running out of stuff.
Did that compound though? Do you think people saw them like everything sold out and it made people want it more? I think there was a
like
psychology
a sense of
involved.
urgency there?
Yeah.
It's possible.
And did you double down then on marketing, like on Instagram and stuff like that, with ads and stuff like that?
Initially,
Or no?
we backed off because
backed
like
off.
sales dropped.
Yeah, you
Gotcha.
were trying to like
Well, I'm not just going to go spending money right now if nobody's buying
Right.
anything. You know
Gotcha.
what I mean? So I like backed off and then sales started to turn back on. I was like, and then all the reports, it was like, online shopping is up 5,000%. You know, like spend more money.
some crazy stat.
Yeah, you know, I was like,
Yeah.
let's spend more money. Everyone's at home on their phones. I do remember though, I went on a binge of making content. Like I was making YouTube videos and like Instagram videos and just trying to make content because I was like, everyone's at home staring at their phones right
Yeah,
now.
perfect
You know what I
time.
mean? Watching Tiger King.
Oh my God, that's
Everyone
so
watched
true.
it.
Yeah.
Do you think that was like a golden opportunity to get a lot of that stuff out? Do you you took advantage of it? A lot of people, I don't want to speak for most people, but a lot of people didn't. A lot
Took
of
their
people
foot
just
off the
stayed
gas.
frozen and were like, let's just see what happens. I'm going to work from home and just.
I think that's the risk taker in me and like seeing opportunity in some regards where I've, again, I'm not afraid to take a risk because I'm not afraid of like where I can make money. If I need to make money somewhere else, I know I have that ability.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, screw it. Let's just see what happens.
Well, to my point earlier, we were talking about lack of time, but I think because you're so wired, and I know that's why it is for me and Dave, because now you had all this time, you fill it, right? When you're go, and then all of a sudden stuff stops,
You know what else I feel?
you fill it. We know.
My belly. I ate so much food, dude.
That could have went anywhere. I know where.
I gained that COVID-19 when he was working it off.
Well, were you working from home?
Yeah.
Technically, yeah. The fridge is steps away.
I was like,
And did you go grocery shopping during all this?
my wife did.
Yeah.
It was
A
much
mess,
different, but
dude, a
also
mess.
think of
There was nothing
location.
available.
Think of location though, because South
we were
Carolina
in
was
North
much
New York.
different than New
yeah.
York. I mean, we were shut down.
Yeah.
There was
I mean,
nothing in
Yeah, it
those
was
stores.
wild.
Yeah.
I had frozen pizza for like 4 weeks.
Blame it on
that's-
COVID.
What were you
That's mo-
eating? Talk to me. Talk dirty.
Oh, dude, I was cooking out stuff on burgers and crap on the grill. Like, it was so nice out.
Tell them
It was
about
like,
your freezer. What you got in the freezer right
Oh,
now?
it was like steaks and chicken. It was like
Steaks and cake, baby.
stacked. Oreo cake. Yeah.
That was the most
And beer.
Yeah, that's it.
That was the most guy fridge I've ever seen. 2 ice cream cakes, hot sauce, beer, energy drinks,
He is,
and
but he's
ketchup,
just
I
a
think.
man's man. I mean, he's got literally he's got the guns in the office. He's got the cars in the garage, the warehouse, the Travis's race car over here. This is an incredible place.
I feel tougher just walking into
Right,
this
me
place.
too.
By association.
I am by association. There you go. That is it. I am tough by TBA.
Tough by association. There
TBA,
we
tough
go.
by association.
Next time we come back next year, I'm going to be like elf tattoos, had a beard. I'll look just like you.
Well, you know what's funny though is like that's my personality,
Yep.
which is what's translated into tactical baby gear. We're like, I don't want to carry a girly, frilly stuff. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't have anything against it, and if that's
Yeah.
what you like are comfortable with, fine.
Yeah.
That just wasn't like
Wasn't you.
because my wife worked till 11 o'clock at night. Guess who was carrying the diaper bag all
Right.
night?
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't what I want to carry for me. If I'm taking care of the baby, I want something that's like me and my personality to be able to do that.
That part boggles my mind the most. That she was working till 11 o'clock at night when
yeah.
he had all this stuff going on, and he still made this happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's wild. That says something different about you. You're wired a little different.
Do you like Jurassic Park?
That's the weirdest.
Dave doesn't watch movies. Dave doesn't watch
Well,
movies,
I
so he
don't-
won't know this quote.
I don't know what you're talking
But
about. I'm not a movie guy, so.
But I always
Look,
think,
he's like, wait a second.
listen,
No,
there's a
I'll
point.
tell you
There's
in
a
a
point.
second.
You
I'll
ready?
tell you in a
Do you love
second.
Jurassic Park?
Well,
so let me give you the quote before I forget. There's a
Okay,
reason.
okay.
There's a reason. Nature finds a way. You know when he says that?
No.
So it's all female dinosaurs.
Oh, he does.
Remember?
Yeah.
And he says, the guy's like, oh,
They can't
what's
reproduce
the guy's
well.
name who does the speech? It's this drawn out speech, and at the end he goes, nature finds a way. It finds a way. That's what I think about all the time.
So you're calling him
find,
nature?
Yeah, he's nature.
All right.
But you find a way because you burn the boat. There's no, you have to figure it out. But anyway, Jurassic Park.
My brother just built a Jurassic Park Jeep.
Really? Oh, wow. That's fire. I would actually like to see that.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
cool.
That's
that
sick.
is awesome.
But it was just fun. He literally like just finished it.
Wow.
And then you were like, do you like
I
Jurassic
swear to
Park?
God, I wasn't stalking you.
Whoa.
That's
You
crazy.
did my voice.
Yeah.
You like Jurassic Park?
It was a pretty
Whenever
good.
someone gives me an impression, I always sound so bad.
Yeah,
gotta
yeah,
look at it.
I think usually that's how it goes, though.
That's like the original one.
Let me see.
It has the number and everything. Was 92 the year it came out? Is that why he did that?
Wow.
His Jeep is a 92.
That's
but, like,
incredible.
everybody that does one of those like kind of puts their own number on it.
How many brothers you got?
2.
How many
So,
siblings?
Travis and
yep.
then Matt.
Oh, I thought you
is an
built
older
it.
brother.
I was giving you all the credit.
No.
I got a brother named Matt, too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm a middle child.
Wow.
Oh, that makes sense. I don't know. I'm the
Best,
youngest.
dude. Clearly
Yeah.
the best, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
The youngest or shaky? Who's the youngest? Yeah, see? Shaky.
He's
You're a
the
little
youngest,
nuts.
but not the like. I have to tell people what's my younger brother, not my little brother.
Right.
Yeah. That's how me and
That's
my brother
him.
are. That's how
Squash
people
me.
thought I was older than, like, we went in. Mom, don't, if you're listening, don't listen. We went
Earmuffs.
we went into a bar, and it was, we were younger, and me and Dave walk in. We're younger than my brother. He's they let us guys,
We were 19,
right in.
I
Where have
think.
you been all
Yeah,
day?
yeah.
Then my brother, they're looking at his ID, they're
Right.
checking it out. He's only of age. He almost ratted us out. He was so pissed.
He was like, you just let these two 19-year-olds in the building. I'm the only one of age, you idiot.
We
Yeah,
skipped in there.
so
we were like,
funny.
"What's up, guys?"
Question.
Yeah.
Personal question
Okay.
for us.
Jurassic Park?
Why? No. I'm just curious. Why did you say yes to jumping on a collab with us and allowing us and kind of welcoming us into South Carolina like this?
We love this.
Yeah.
I mean, you get first of all, like we did a Zoom call a
Yeah.
few months back. When, like I don't even know how that even like usually like oftentimes
I'm curious. Yeah. I
I'm
swear.
like I don't have time.
Remember you hopped on, you were like, who give me your background again?
Well, yeah, because Jade set it all up.
Yeah.
We
Jade's-
love Jade. We owe
she's-
Jade a present.
Yeah, Jade's awesome. She's the best. But like and like there's things that she'll run past me and I'm like yes or no. You know what I mean? And you guys just happen to get a yes.
We happen to get a yes.
Something. And I didn't really know much about it, or she did enough like homework on her end to be like, we're doing this. I really don't remember how it
Yeah.
happened. Yeah. And then when we jumped on, I was like, all right, who
Oh,
you guys
look
know?
who is walking in the
Speak of the
building
devil.
as we speak.
Do we need to repeat that part where we
Yeah,
just give
right?
you mad props? To tell you
Yeah.
how awesome you are.
We were thanking you for sneaking us in here under his filter.
Yeah. So, for the listeners, though, one of Beav's team members, Jade, happens to be the best coordinator. So, funny story, though. So, I put in an address this morning.
Now we'll throw around the bus.
Great finale.
which I believed to be the address. And you do have two warehouses, so it was one, right? So then I call her and I'm like, hey, Jade, I think we're in the, actually, no, I said, hey, the tactical truck is outside. She's like, oh, you're in the wrong place. This is, where you need to go. So I'm like, just shoot me the address. So she shoots me the address and here we are. And she's like, yeah, it's just right down the road. Now we cross.
It's literally like
literally
3 or 4 buildings
right.
over.
But now we go into a private golf course. So I'm texting
was
her
sick.
through the golf course ? And we're driving and dudes are teeing off on the 10th hole, literally. And but a straight road going to like 2 black gates. Now, Mike is like, yeah, it's got to be beyond the gates because that makes sense. There's a warehouse.
The warehouse, golf course, probably flat land somewhere.
Right?
Yeah.
And right in the middle of that, Jade calls me like, dude, it's not that way. but now we're headed towards the gates. All I could think of is now we go to another tee. And I think at this point we were at like hole 17.
Yeah, we saw the whole course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking, okay, no. This is South Carolina. We're going through gates. We're going into private property. Somebody's going to be outside with a rifle. Right? So we skirt, turned around real quick, came back, and then Jade was outside, waved us down. So Jade, shout out to you
Jade.
on everything for setting this up. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Right?
Good job, Jade.
Yeah, for real.
Keeping them
Yeah,
straight.
and we are on a we have like a couple more minutes,
Yeah.
but let's close out with some future stuff for you.
Yeah.
Where's your vision? Where's your head at? I mean, you've reached this level of success now, but there's again you being the bloodline that you are, which is clearly a different bloodline, right? So kudos to you. What?
Bloodline. I don't even know if I have a bloodline. The way he said that, I was like,
but I
whoa.
mean, here you are, this successful guy, and you must have plans, I guess, to keep moving. What's next?
I don't know. I'm the kind of guy. I mean, as you guys have heard, like I gotta have my fingers in a bunch of different shit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like if I do the same thing for too long, I get bored. Like I can't believe I haven't gotten bored with tactical baby gear yet, because this is like the longest I've done any one thing. But like it's always just something new and exciting, and I think that I've got a great team around me, and we're able to like the thing that keeps it exciting is like being able to create new products and do new things and collaborate with these awesome people around me. That's like keeps it fun and exciting and interesting. And it's not like there's just not enough time, like that airspace, just like there's not enough air to just get bored with it, because you just don't have time. There's just like constantly shit to do.
Yep.
On the flip side, I have all these million other ideas of like things I want to do and experiment with and try this other product that may create a new brand and like I don't know.
How do you filter those? Because I struggle with that too. Like with all the ideas, right? How many ideas do you have a day where you're like, oh, that would be good. That would be good.
It depends on kind of what's going on. Like if there's a million things going on TBG, like I'm too bogged down in my head for that. But like I try to schedule, and it's hard. My schedule is supposed to be 2 days a week over here in this building, like just doing things.
Creative stuff.
And I'm not bogged down with the next meeting or this or that or podcast or anything, where it's just like, these are my days to start and finish a thought cycle, a project, a new product, whatever the case is.
So you have a target when you come here for something to get done.
Not always.
Or not really?
He's
Sometimes-
supposed to just be here twice a week, though.
Yeah,
That's
2
what-
days
yeah,
a week
yeah.
in a row, uninterrupted, where I don't have anything scheduled that I'm like stressed over. Like I got to finish this by 3 to get to this thing, whatever. It's like, but the idea, and let me tell you how many times that's happened.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Like very few has that happened,
Yeah.
because always somebody's like, well, I just need to come over and talk to Beav about something, and then I end up in like a finance meeting.
They're calling
where-
you Steven.
Yeah,
Skype
right. Like, all right, Mr. Brodie.
Got some random Skypes with some guys from New York.
Yeah, what the hell? No, but so on days like that, I have more ideas, or I go through my list of ideas, and I'm like, ooh, I'm going to do this week or whatever. It's tough, man. It's hard to balance all that stuff, and it's like constantly in the back of my mind. So it's like takes up bandwidth. You know what I mean? Or like
And until
RAM.
you do it,
like I
then
need a RAM update.
Yep.
I'm like working on 8 gigs of RAM. I need like 32 gigs of RAM.
I got you.
Overclocked.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's hard to balance that stuff, man. Lists are my friends these days.
Actual physical, you write them out?
I use the
Type-
softwares.
yeah.
2021, Dave. No one has.
Well, I should.
I do. I actually do.
enjoy
Look at our outline.
the writing side of it. My problem is I never go back to it, even on the computer.
I lose it. It's too many places.
I have a better system now than I've ever had before, where it's like I see it a lot more now. But there's other softwares I've used where it's like goes into a thing in a phone or a computer software somewhere, and it's like to be forgotten and never seen again. And then a year later, you're like, man, I go through some old lists, and you're like, oh, look at all these great ideas. I forgot about these. And then you figure out how to do something.
I think the whiteboard's the move, because then it's all like in one place, but it's spread out.
even that's
No?
hard.
Is that overwhelming?
Yeah, because if you erase it, then it's gone.
Yeah.
even that can be hard.
Yeah.
So
And then you don't want to erase it, so you end up with just like a bunch
Right.
of old shit that
And you're like, wait, what was that?
which stresses you out because you're like, I don't even remember what that means, but I got to do it. So I got to figure that out.
yeah.
Yeah.
But what's like the big, like at the end of the day, TBG, what is the big, like it was successful? I mean, it's successful already, but where would you like to see it go? Broad terms.
I mean, just Just more, man. I think, it's really funny.
I love your answer so big. More.
Yeah, well, I'm sort of screwed up in that regard because a lot of people have asked me, like, what's your goal? Like, what are you trying to accomplish?
He's big on goals.
I don't know. I don't have a goal. And until I bet in the last 6 to 12 months, I haven't ever really had a vision or an answer of what that looks like. Yep. It's always just been like, I don't know. Like, I know I'm capable of more. I know that there's more to be had. It's bigger than this. More. Which is a very vague answer and something hard to sort of strive for in a regard.
No, but I kind of take it.
What's the next step?
I take it as a daily thing for you. Like that's kind of how I see you. You're just like, you know what? Let me tackle today. Let me move forward, and as long as I'm progressing and I keep moving, that will always be more.
Yeah,
is that accurate?
Yeah, it's like I want to do better than I did the day before and that kind of stuff. But and then it was like, all right, well, what do I really want personally out of my life? Like, what is my personal life goal? And it's like, I want to make an impact on not only my kids, but for their kids as well. Gotcha. You know what I mean? Like, I want it to be like great grandpa Beav
generational
did this thing.
Grandpa Beav.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good ring.
That's what I want to like leave a legacy in that regard.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. You know what I mean? But like, I just want to make a big impact for like future generations of my family.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well said. Before we close out on the final word, where can listeners find you?
You can go to the website. Obviously, if you're interested in the gear that we've talked about, it's tacticalbabygear.com. And then I've got a personal brand side of things, which is Beav Brodie, Beav Brodie on Instagram, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. And I've done lots of videos on YouTube talking about some of the marketing stuff, business type stuff, which I have done less of lately because I just don't have time. Also doing car builds on that YouTube channel.
That's
and
awesome.
like just kind of some cool stuff, more of my personal life of like what I'm up to and that kind of thing. But Tactical Baby Gear on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere else.
Yeah, if you don't know the company, you're living under a rock. Just saying.
Especially after Dave's rocking on the beach in South Carolina for his visual.
Right? Oh, man.
Yeah, cool.
So we usually end with words of wisdom from us. We're not going to do that. Show's about you, Beav. I know you don't like giving advice.
In the hot seat.
Yeah. No, but it's very basic. I mean, whatever it is, it is. What do you constantly think about that was taught to you at maybe a young age, maybe it was just recently, but something that you know works in life?
Yeah,
being nice. Like, just do the right thing. You know what I mean? Like, no one's gotten to the top people have gotten to the top by being an asshole, but it doesn't last long. Like, I can't make a positive impact on the world for my kids by being an asshole. Like, I try to be genuinely nice and do the right thing with everybody I meet, and with you know what I mean? Like, so just my parents are great people and they're super nice, and that's one thing I think I've gotten from them is we are more about helping other people than ourselves. Like, we're like people pleasers, and I guess in that regard, like my dad was a volunteer firefighter and volunteer, with the police department and all these things, like just to help other people, because it's like it feels good to help other people and do the right thing. You know what I mean? So, and my mom, same thing. They're just that's I think the biggest thing is like that I try to instill in my kids is like being nice. Don't be the asshole bully. Don't be talking down on people. Like, you can build your own building. You don't have to tear other people's down.
Wow.
Very nice.
That's
well
beautiful.
said.
That really is.
And it was very nice of you to have us in as guests. I mean, technically you're a guest on our show.
I'm a guest. I appreciate
Well, he's
you
a
guys
guest on
having
this
me.
one. Yeah.
But we're using all your equipment, which can we fit this in the bag on the way back?
Right?
Yeah, right.
No, but
Travis comes in, everything's
Loaded in
gone.
that Pelican case down there.
shout out to the entire Tactical Baby
Yes.
Gear team, especially Jade, Travis, our guy CV, here on the ones and twos as always. Beav, we thank you. Mike, any final words, my brother?
No, I love the episode. These energy drinks have me jacked up.
We're wired. We're going to lunch. Mike's taking care of it. Beav, we thank you again. Guys, until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it. Do I say both parts? I forget which part I said.
That's another Epi in the books. Go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at No Snooze Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze.